7 cinematic into making. It's not actually the 7th week, obviously. I've been taking the liberty to naming it just out of, chronological order. So it would make sense. Unfortunately, I dropped out for quite a while. And in the previous video on my channel, I explained what was the reasons behind this particular behavior. If you're curious, you can check it out. It's only like 4 minutes long. But today we're actually gonna look at what I've been doing so far. Mainly the modeling question of today's report is the freighter. I finished the base outline for it, at least I think so. So we can take a look at what's been done. I don't think I ever showed it though. So if you remember the actual reference from the original Freelancer cutscene, it kind of resembles it, but at the same time it doesn't. So I'm not a hard surface modeler, and I'm very shitty at designing spaceships. So I just went on with something that I'm comfortable with. It's quite simplistic, if I'm not saying so myself, but I would say as a base it will work out. Especially I'm not sure how close we're gonna end up with the camera motion, so maybe we're gonna be like super close. Okay, we're clipping a bit, we need to fix that. Let's go. Boop. And we need to fix near clipping. Bam. Okay, so I don't know how close we're gonna get to this ship, so for now I just made the main sections, and since it's Houdini, so it's not as easy as modeling in traditional software like Blender or Maya or 3ds Max. So I'm not starting with a brick and gradually kind of extrude and smooth things out to make it into a spaceship. On the contrary, I kind of separate it in different parts and then try to approach it with a modular structure in mind, so I could make the cockpit separate, the engine separate, like the front grille, the sections, the arm, the holders, all this stuff are being separated and then procedurally moded and cloned, so to speak, so that if I need to make a change to some element, I don't need to go God knows where in the history of modeling and then just undo the whole stuff and do it from the scratch or so. So yeah, I mean, let's just jump into it and see how it goes. I try to make it there you go. I try to make it reasonably simple. I mean, if you take a look at my tree node, it's not that complicated. I probably could have posted a bit more in terms of like sticky notes or backdrops, so I could easily navigate, although you can clearly see that like this section is a cockpit, those ones are engines. I made it copy because it's like separate thing I'm gonna show you in a second. So we have hooks that attaches to our cargo, then we have a contacts between the cargos. Since it's like a cosmic train, we have some contacts to support the structure, and this thing I still haven't named it yet, but it's actually back engine. Oh, and I have my chat in the way. Unfortunately, I'm working with one monitor again, so we're gonna call it back engine for now. Yep. So I'm gonna drag it a bit further here so I could see it. So let's take a look at how it's made, basically. If you remember this show from, I think it was Discovery Channel or something like that. Don't pay too much attention to the UVs because it's still too early to get into that. I just made it reasonably simple layout, but it's still too early to call it like finalized version, especially since I'm not really sure whether I'm done with the design or not. Только у меня звук прыгает. Не знаю, JJH. Sorry. So yeah, the biggest I mean, the best example of how things work, I probably could show you with the engine setup, right? So those front engines, which I suppose from the design of the ship, since we should, as a concept artist, which I'm not, but I've heard of, some principles, you should design an object, well, being that an instrument, a tool, or a spaceship. So the design should follow function, right? So those engine being placed there, even though we're modeling according to the primary source, which was the original Freelancer video game, the front engine is probably for the train to slow down. So when it's speeding up, it uses the back engine and it just speeds up, and when it approaches the station, it probably needs to slow down. So it's like I don't know, technical term, was it like the backburn or dethrusting or whatever. So those engines, I assume, are just for that. So because of that, we have separate controls for how those engines will be, oriented. So, okay, I have to minimize the chat again. That particular rotation is close to what it was in the reference. But if I assemble the node tree correctly, and I hope I did, so we can rotate this thing and it will adjust on the fly. So, okay, let's just do it 0 degrees. Bam. So we can rotate engines like that, given its more specific, maybe more menacing form actually. So I go and put it like this. Bam. And that's what I like about Houdini. So I can easily adjust whatever and just tweak a couple of digits and I get totally different iteration of the object that I prefer. So maybe I will leave it like that. I don't know. I mean, you cannot do it indefinitely. So if I go beyond like 30 degrees, it's probably start to break. Yeah, you see, like it gets too thin because of the extrusion. But you probably shouldn't go beyond that. So like 25, 20 degrees, so that this more or less horizontal and perpendicular to the ground. Actually, this shape is quite nice as well, I would say. But you get the point. And for now, I leave it -20 or something, which is close to the original one. But yeah, I mean, same thing with those holders. So it depends on the distance between the sections. So the water tanks or whatever is in those containers, but we call them water tanks for the purpose of naming convention. It should adjust to the amount of sections. So for example, if I go outside and just change the amount of sections in water tanks, it should adjust. I mean, I didn't check it, and probably there will be some mistakes, but it should be considerably easier to edit those compared to the conventional method of modeling. Especially, for example, those are being made by different artists, right? So I'm curious now, actually. So let me quickly jump into the water tank section, which is this bad boy, and try to decrease the copies. So we have 4 instead of 5 now, and let's see how it plays out. Could be... Yeah, we do have a bit of a problem here, actually. The first one adjusted correctly, but the second one kind of, for some reason, I guess we need to adjust the transform more accurately. But actually, let's fix that right away. So, okay. So the hooks are actually in right place, but the containers themselves are wrong. So we go to the cargo and we go to the copy. And this is the reason, I guess. I didn't put it in the right spot. So normally I can just adjust it by hand and that's it, because it doesn't waste too much time. But ideally we need to make it procedurally. So it's like parameter dependency will work in a way so I don't need to go back here at all. So let's just logically think. We adjust this on the length of this bounding box plus bounding box of this stuff. So what we're gonna do is time b box. We can address to this node, I guess, which would be transform 1. And we're gonna take the d z size, I would say. And then we need another b box from this thing, which is the connector. I don't remember where it's from though, so I need to, first of all, I leave it like this, so you see it's like too close. And now I'm gonna take a look at the connector and see where's the bounding box for that. We have a contact before the copy, so it's box 5 basically. All right, so let's try to box 5, and the same thing. Oh, okay. So it's slightly further than expected for some reason. Okay. So somewhere in a tree, we have an extra transform that shouldn't be there. So let's see. Okay. Yeah. Because of this, I assume. Because this shouldn't supposed to happen. You don't have to have... Wait a second, it's even dividing by this. Why the hell is dividing? Okay, let's remove that for a second. Let's see what happens. Okay. Let's engage the grid. So basically what we need to do is we need to take the bounding box of this thing plus the bounding box of this thing. So we take the bounding box of transform 1, I guess, or box 2, it's here, and then we subtract it from box 1, which is, let's try, okay, here it is, which is this thing. Yeah, so logically speaking it's okay, but oh yeah, so this is the reason, I guess, because this stuff is actually not at 0, which was my mistake. But then again, I was extruding it, so... Okay, so, I mean... Oh, no, don't do that. Okay, why it's so far away though? Oh, that's why. I'm doing the same mistake as last time. You shouldn't have those manually inputs. Wait a second, why is this? Okay. Okay, so I guess because the bounding box of this object is smaller than it's supposed to be. So this thing doesn't affect the containers, which is weird. All right, well, let's take a look. So I go here. Well, let's, so we wouldn't forget, we just put it box 1. Oh no, box 2. Okay. So that's that. This is the bounding box of this thing. Then from that, it translates this thing. So if I remove this particular part for now, it should be right at the, yep. And now I put it back here. What if I subdivide it by 2? Yeah, okay. Now we're in the right place. And the only thing left to do is make sure the contact element is in the right place as well. So let's go to the transform 10 and try to figure out why we have to put this thing there. So B box 2, B box 1. Okay, that's too much. But then again, I should have... I need to figure out how to make sure... Okay, if there is 3 sections of this guys... So let's put another box here. So we have this thing. And then if I divide by 3, we'll get 1, 2. Yeah, let's try that. So box 1, 12 divided by 3. Okay. All right, so 1 and 12. Okay, something went wrong horribly. Let's just check why. Recursion. Oh yeah, because yeah, I got it. So we can't do that because we actually take the bounding box from here. But what if we take it from the other place? We could take it before the transform. All right. And so now we can use it. Okay. Although I don't see... Oh, I guess it's inside right there. All right. No, the tree was closer. But now we have to adjust it just for the width of one section. So I have to... Okay, I have to go up actually. It gave me an error, but no matter. I just go to the water tank. And I need to create one box here. I'll call it out section. And we'll get back there. And so now we're gonna go B-box, bam, bam, water tank, out section, and I need the dy size, I think. Bam. Okay, subdivided by, no, just divided by 2. Oh, come on. It was close enough. Jesus. One and a half. Okay. So, kind of works. I'll save just in case. But now, let's go to the water tanks and change the amount of sections. So I go here, and I say, you know what? Now it's back to 5. I'm a director, I changed my mind. So now we have 5 sections. And voila, it actually works. Now every time I'm adjusting the amount of sections, it will automatically adjust the hooks in the right place. So yeah, I'm happy with myself. What do you think? Apparently nothing. Or I'm just expressing myself into thin air, which is okay. I mean, practicing, why not? So let me probably actually show you how the freighter looks into up close. So let's just adjust the camera slightly and go on and here remove bucket rendering. Oh yeah, it's not the best angle because the station obscures so much. So let me adjust for that. I'll just temporarily disable it. Yeah. And you know what? Let's just stop it. Let's close it. And let's split it top to bottom. And just do it like this. Once again, it's really troublesome when you have one monitor, but you know, this is the way. What can I say? So let's rotate slightly. Yeah, well, as I said before, I didn't work too much on materials and textures, so for now it's just temporarily, randomly adjusted textures that I found. I just played with the colors, with the IOR. Well, IOR is actually scientifically accurate to a titanium alloy, that I presume would be the best option for a spaceship. Although I'm not a rocket scientist, so what do I know? But it seems like the right choice. Actually, I did some funny thing with the cockpit, because originally it was just bright light coming out of the window pane that is cockpit window. But then I thought nobody travels in a spaceship with lights on. It's like you're driving a car on a highway with the inside lights brightly illuminating the cabin, which would be weird. So let me for some reason the near clipping is always going to default value. I don't know why. It shouldn't be like that. So for now I did a quick I just looked for some sci-fi texture and I assigned it to the cockpit window. So now something's going on in there. You can't clearly tell, but it maybe it looks like something from sci-fi. I don't know. It's actually weird. Wait a second. It shouldn't be... feels broken in the wrong angle. Let me check the UVs there. Все-таки Redshift. Should I reply in English or in Russian? Which would be better for you? But I actually do have V-Ray in here as well, you can see. Well, I do have Redshift, RenderMan, and V-Ray. So I was using RenderMan before, but for the obvious reasons of being unable to render everything on my local machine, I would go for a GPU render instead. So for now, I'm testing Redshift, but Chaos Group were kind to help me give access to the archive that they have on their servers so that I could download the specific version of V-Ray for my Houdini build. And I'm probably gonna give it a shot because I was working with V-Ray a long time ago and probably it would be interesting experience. Well, yeah, Redshift kind of cheating a bit to my point because otherwise it wouldn't be I mean, it wouldn't be that fast. It's clearly cutting some corners somewhere. But for the purpose of what I'm doing, it's probably gonna be okay. I'm not gonna do too complicated acoustics or like glass refractions thingy, so probably be okay. But from the test that I've saw, the glass looks super weird in Redshift. It doesn't look real to me. I don't know, maybe it's a matter of playing around with settings, but I don't know. For now, I mean, it works for now, but who knows? Maybe after I test V-Ray, I would say, you know what? That's the way to go. But then another thing to consider is the price range. So, well, I'm throwing out RenderMan out of consideration, even though it's like, has perfectly good non-commercial version. Since it's not GPU, I kind of not considering it at all at the moment. For the Redshift, it's nice that it allows you to render with watermarks, so you can spend all this time to set up things that you want and then don't waste your license time to do the same thing. On the other hand, if you need it for certain projects and that's it, you'll be paying like $500, well, if you're new to the Redshift. And for the rest of the year, it will be just idling, which is not financially efficient, if you ask me. But then again, at the end of the year, you can only pay $250, and only if you want to. I mean, you can wait for a couple of years, 3 years, and then buy another version. With V-Ray, on the other hand, you could pay $80 and just use it for a month. So for example, if you have a project that has to be done within the month, you buy this type of license, you do your work, and then you're done. And then you don't spend any more money on this thing. But then again, it doesn't allow you to render if you don't have any active license. So it doesn't put any watermarks, just say, hey, you don't have a license anymore. Sucks to be you. So I don't know. I will have to poke around to see which one will work for my personal project. So, okay, yeah, let's dive into the thing and see why it's not working properly. So we figure out this. Okay, actually, I probably will gonna. I need to minimize the chat again. I probably change it to like green, so that I won't forget which one is responsible for adjusting the thing. And now let's go and check the UVs. So it feels okay, to be honest. So UVs on the window pane are properly aligned, so they shouldn't... well, let me actually go to the specific cockpit thing. Dun 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 dun. Alright, Boolean. Let me see. Tick 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 tick. Okay, so this is the place, the spot where I'm rewriting it. Okay, so yeah. Feels okay. So it seems like it's just a part of one plane. Well, let me try this thing then. All right. Okay, maybe too small. Yeah, let's do it with this thing. Okay. Okay, let's give it a shot again. All right. I mean, since it's a separate material, I can try to adjust it there. Schrader glass, texture. Okay, now it worked. Okay, now it's alrighty. So let me... Well, once again, it's not the proper texture that I would have placed there. But it's just something to stay in the spot, so to speak. Okay, let's just... Yeah. So that when the camera passes by, you can see that something's going on there. Ideally, you would put like the whole mini 3D scene in there. Maybe not very detailed, low poly, and just make sure it's lit correctly. But then again, I mean, probably would never need that. Although if the camera would be passing by close, you would clearly tell that it's a flat image in there and not a proper 3D scene. The same thing, I have issues with the... Okay, let's go to the scene. With the windows inside of the residential industrial modules. So let me orbit it correctly. Boop. So for now, I placed a holder in the texture. You can see that it's like the same texture, depicting the possible inside of the, how you call it, you know, like Japanese, is it like a pod hotel or something like that? Where from the far away, you probably won't be able to tell, especially if we randomly assign the pictures to the texture. So we like have 4 or 5 of them randomly lit in those areas. Yeah, at this distance you can't tell, I think. Well, maybe it still can from this one, but if we go up to the actual scale that we're supposed to have... Okay, let me pop this back on. Yikes. All right. So yeah, well, you can see something, but at this point, especially if the camera is going to be traveling quite fast and motion blur will take care of the thing. Yeah, actually pretty surprised how this thing worked out to be. Maybe we won't need to spend too much on it. Although texture doesn't make too much sense though. I'm not really sure what is this. Okay. Every time it renders, for some reason it resets the near clipping. I need to figure out why it's overriding it. And I need to know what is this black thing is. Is it just shadow? Oh, okay, it's just shadow. Alright. But yeah, maybe I need to adjust the bump a bit here. It's too deep in. So let me double check which material this thing use. Oh, we only have two. Yeah, as I said before, it's early stage of shading, so I'm gonna find render shift base material and just adjust the bump. Oh yeah, it's quite high actually. Alright, maybe not that low, but still. Okay, and just double check the normals. Yeah, let's go. Make it slightly less smooth. Right. Yep. That works. You watched the fan movie Blindside? No, I don't think I did. I'm not very keen on watching fan movies. I mean, if it's cinematics, sure, I would, you know, spare some minutes. Usually the fan-made cinematics are under 10-minute mark, so it would be easily done. For example, the Astartes cinematic that I refer to a lot lately, yeah, this is the example of good work from beginning to the end. So the guy went out and made great storyboard sketches by the looks of it, then made a, you know, animatic, so to speak. So he just used the not finished version of the models just to make sure the longevity of the shot is correct, the framings are working well, and then just started modeling on top of that. So me, on the other hand, well, I didn't do quite as much in terms of preparation. I just went, okay, that's the cutscene that I want to remake, and now I'm remaking it. So I only took like 2 steps, which is not ideal, to be honest. You have to spend more time to refine the project, not only in your head, but actually maybe going through with, you know, making at least a couple of concepts of the shots that would be like a key shot in the sequence, right? So that maybe the overall sequence would be like average, but there will be 1 or 2 shots that will be, yes, those are the ones. You have free time? Yeah, sure, I'll take a look. I mean, depends on how long it is. Yeah, it has even some awards. So I'm surprised that I never heard of it, though. Okay. Oh, right. Oh, my God. For some reason, the stream turned out. All right. Quiet you. Only I allowed to talk. Okay. Right. Hey man, good to hear you back live. Have you made it back to Canada? Was the how in terms of quarantine? In more or less, you can watch the catch-up video on my main Russian channel. I uploaded it yesterday. I replied to most of the questions regarding the whole thing. So I do apologize for the Russian viewers since this particular report mainly in English, but I need the practice. I need to go through with just making myself talk in English, and hopefully that will be of some use to you as well. Previously we did the 50-50 segments, so basically the 50% of the time was in English. Then I say goodbye to my possible English listeners, although I'm pretty sure they're not at this point. And then I'll just switch to Russian and report again the whole thing that I've been telling in English, well, most of it. But I don't know, for now it seems that I still can keep on going. It depends on the mood sometimes, but I guess it's been a while since I talk in English, so I kind of missed it a bit. So it is okay. Your English voice is very good. Well, you too kindly, sure. Thank you very much. I did trying to start English podcast at some point, but it didn't work out quite well. Okay, let's get back to what we have here. This thing is actually finished. So all right, I'll disable the camera and I'll just check it again, because I think for some reason now it's actually, can I log this thing so it wouldn't change ever? I don't know why it would. So yeah, the model of, well, there are some things that I don't particularly like about the model. Let's just dive into this quickly. So the top connectors, those I don't know how you call it, rails or so, I don't know, because I probably, when I was modeling, think, okay, when the containers in a dock and they have to adjust, then again the design follows function, right? So those mechanical arm holders that attach to the cargo probably have to be adjusted by the width or length, in this particular case, of the wagon, or how you call it, of the sections. So those rails are actually for those holders to travel, right? So I assume that they're just gonna slide back and forth, like when I changed the length of the sections, so it's automatically adjusted. So there you go. But probably I should go and refine those particular things a bit more, because you can see it just goes through without giving a flying F about how it should be actually. But since I'm not a hard surface modeler, I try to take like little steps at designing stuff so that I could easily adjust it later on, or, you know, first figure out that everything works fine and then maybe on top of it add additional small details. So I don't know, but this whole top section is kind of like I'm not really sure I like this, especially this one. It looks like you know, the steam pipe on the old locomotive trains, although technically it is a train, it is a space train, and maybe a resemblance to the classic you know, vehicle of era would be nice, but I don't think this is the right way of going about it. But then again, this section is procedurally made, so if I decided to change this particular one, I can just change it separately, which is always good. You can consider me being English speaker subscriber if it gives you warm and fuzzy feeling of exposure. Well, it does, and yeah, thank you. Especially if you're gonna go and turn on it, the stream on Twitch as well. I mean, it's not that many people in the art section there. So if all my potential Russian viewers on Good Game would just got together and go there for a bit, we probably could have managed to, you know, leave a trail of some sort, so that others will discover this amazing stream that they can enjoy. I don't know. I'm just talking out of my ass at this point, but it's fun. It was a bit rusty in the beginning because the lack of practice clearly took a toll on my ability of formulating sentences in English. But I think at this point I can more or less adjust it. So all instincts kicked in, and I'm more or less okay and continuing the conversation. Although conversation would imply having multiple people to talk to. Although I could consider my conversation with chat as well, 1.5 conversation. So like one person talking live and the others are kind of typing. So it's a bit of a handicap, I guess. So yeah, the top thing I'm not really particularly fond of, especially this thing. It looks weird. So let's try and change it slightly. So for now, my memory is more or less fresh. So I would say it's somewhere here. Yep. Okay. So I need to make sure we go about doing it the right way. I'm just gonna adjust it right here. Because it's being made procedurally, I need to be careful of deleting some of the polygons. So for example, this one selected here is probably mentioned somewhere else as well. So group 22, I think there was some... Okay, not here, not here, not here. Oh, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. All right. That's weird. Oh, no. Yeah. It's referenced in a split node further down the tree. Actually, right here. Yep. Okay. So I don't need to worry too much about it. But let's try to adjust the overall shape quite a bit, because it doesn't match with what we have here. Actually, let's do it vice versa. So we go here and just take a look at how it's supposed to be. So I think the right way of this thing would be if we take the top corner and stretch it to match the width of this element. At least that would look okay. So let's try and do that. I don't like using the edit node, which is basically the equivalent of doing it by hand. So you drop the edit node, or you just manually select the vertices or the points and drag them around, and it will create the edit node. But it's not very procedural. So if you change something, that edit node will do shit all. So I'm trying not to do that. At least not in the further down the tree. You can try to do it like in the beginning when you need specific shape for a base, but then it shouldn't involve any edit nodes. I can't find your Twitch. There is no link in the bio. Well, Immoral F, try to look at the message of the day in the chat, and you will probably find it, I think. I try to make sure it will be as easy as just mouse over the information icon of the chat and you can easily get it. Okay, so let's take a look. Quest complete, where is my loot? Well, you don't get a loot, you get an experience. Come on, it's just the early quest in a chain of long adventure that you still to undertake. So just be glad that you get an experience. Okay, so I do have the inset here. Let's, oh right, bum, bum, bum. We do have a scale here as well. All right, so I need to adjust it somehow. I'll try to switch it to glow. Okay. That's not exactly what I expected. Okay. Let's bring back the rotation, bring back the scale. Alright. It's funny that you can, since it's all procedurally done, you can see that all the other elements that are adjusted by the same polygon are moving as well, which is nice. Gives you this easily, well, relatively easily controllable environment. Okay, so let me bring this back to what it was before. Okay, I said that I wouldn't be doing this, but I might as well just try it. So we're gonna go here. Before the bevel. I hope it doesn't break too much if I disable it, right? And I just adjust it real quick. So I go here. I select the vertices. Make sure I only select the ones that are being seen by the camera. Okay. Curious why it's actually... Alright, I don't need that. Fascinating. Why it's showing me the elements outside of this particular branch? Huh. I think the viewport kind of bugged out a bit. Oh, there you go. Okay. Ah, damn it. All right. Now we need to make sure it's okay, I forgot how is it okay, now let's take a look. Oh shit, okay, we need to adjust it slightly more. Probably I'll leave the outline here so that we can see what we're doing. Yep, that's more like it, I would say. You had to ask where the hell my red fang and boar skin cheater. Well, I didn't ask you to bring me any, so I would. Safe travels. So now you have a... Go get my necklace from the gold tooth. right beside the gold chair, and then we're gonna talk. All right. Hi, what are you working on? Hello, Sulcrea. Sulcrea. I do apologize. I've never met with the nickname of such kind before. We're working on the cutscene from the original Freelancer video game. So we do at the particular moment we address the issues of the modeling of a freighter, but this is the scene. Let me try and open the snapshot. So there you go. If you play the original Freelancer video game, you should recognize this particular scene. But yeah, we procedurally modeled all the elements and now just refining it further so that we can get to the more or less realistic looking environment. I hope that answers your question. Welcome to the channel. But we discuss everything. I mean, everything. You can ask me whatever. I don't really back out of the project of discussing something with the viewers. Especially since I kind of lack practice of English at this particular moment, so I wouldn't mind. So okay, yeah, we kind of adjusted this top thing. It wasn't done too procedurally as I desired, but maybe I'm just lacking the experience. So we just went and manually adjusted this form. But then again, sometimes you can't do everything procedurally. It will be quicker just to attach something by hand. So I mean, with the case of something that is clearly repeating itself, like sections of the cargo, you can, and we did, and we're awesome because of that. But if it comes to some particular crevices of the model, probably easier to do it by hand. Unfortunately, I have not played the game. I discovered you think you just... Oh, yeah. Well, that was the thing that put me on a map in a YouTube scale, I would guess. But yeah, I'm glad you like it. Hopefully. I mean, you never mentioned it, but I assume you did. I rarely find the people who say, what a shitty looking cinematic. Let me check out this live stream of this guy. That's not how usually people work. Well, some crazy people would. I assume you're not, because statistically speaking, it's astronomical that the first viewer who comes from YouTube today is just crazy person. Anyway, yes, StarCraft was done within the realm of passion when I had my contract almost expired last year and I've got my free time, so I used it to create something that I adored for a while. Still, I mean, now looking back, I think I could have done more things and much better, but I was kind of limited in terms of time and money since I was rendering on a farm. And only recently discovered the GPU engines that I was against for a long time. But yeah, eventually I'm probably gonna do another one, so. Я не понял, что английский стримит. Tomorrow Hero. Exactly. Your spot on English is evidence to that. Are you from Great Britain? I do apologize, sir. Are you from Great Britain? I couldn't recognize you. That is bloody amazing. Do you plan to continue it? I indeed appreciate it and thought it was really impressive that you did it all 100% by hand. Well, then you probably should check out the Astartes cinematic by one guy who made like 5 episodes of it. And much better quality, to my shame. Even though I assume he wasn't been working as a professional VFX artist, and I did. Still, you can clearly see that sometimes talent overthrows hard work, unless so there's only one scenario when talent is gonna lose to the hard work. It's when the talent doesn't do shit. So talented person says he's a talented person, and then do something talented, but then doesn't evolve, doesn't grow skill-wise or, you know, anything. So the hardworking person will just eventually get ahead of him. It's the same as Lee guy from Naruto, if you watched that particular anime. You can't do shit with your signs and chakra thing, but you can just punch a tree long enough and, you know. Maybe Minecraft was inspired by this anime, I don't know. When was Minecraft released? Because you punch in a tree long enough and then you evolve into something better. I have several scientific articles, actually. Scientific articles? What, are you reading a lot? Or you meant to say that you have several PhDs and that you just wasting your time on somebody who's clearly not worthy of such attention? Can you repeat the name of the other guy? I don't remember his name, but the name of the cinematic is Astartes. So it's ASTARTES, I would believe. Yeah. So you just punch in Astartes Warhammer 40k, and you probably find it. It's the compilation of 5 episodes, which is roughly 10 minutes long, I think. Yeah. But the guy was doing storyboards a long time, and then he's a modeler and animator. Clearly had a lot of free time. So me, on the other hand, I'm just a DMP and environment artist, so I'm very bad at animation and not really proficient with hard surface modeling, as you can clearly notice. So I just try to do my best. Anytime BSP says anyway. Okay, LIR, let's take a look. Yeah. Anyway, how's your sex life? I just gave Rock Lee as an example of hard work to my 5-year-old son yesterday. What a fine generation we are. Well, I wouldn't necessarily consider it the best possible example, especially if your child have no idea what the Naruto anime is. And he was like, "Daddy, are you sick?" I don't know why he would ask you with a semi-British accent, well, somewhere in between Indian accent and British accent. "Daddy, are you sick?" I don't know, maybe your child is Indian. I'm not biased against any race whatsoever, so if your child go ahead and ask you, "Daddy, have you tried rebooting your computer?" I would be totally okay with this. I mean, some Indians that I know are awesome dudes who are much more proficient at Houdini than I am, so I wouldn't be judging at all. I was thinking that with Unreal Engine 5, some awesome cinematics should be easier to do. Yes and no. I mean, it's clearly what we've seen so far at the presentation and some other videos that I saw on the YouTube. It does look freaking awesome. I mean, in terms of it can handle a lot in terms of geo, but environment looks awesome. Don't get me wrong. But I'm still quite fuzzy about the atmospherics and effects. So the stuff that I've seen doesn't look too real to me. I mean, lighting wise, yeah, it's near damn perfect. So, but I don't know. As soon as I found out how to quickly export the scene from Houdini to Unreal Engine 5 and not destroy my video card in the process, I would probably try it, because I was poking around Unreal Engine 4, just exporting the environment that I had. Well, let me actually show you, because I think I have it right here. Right. Yep. So, okay, I need to somehow put it in the top. So, okay, I did this environment in Houdini and render it with Mantra. And I tried bringing it into Unreal to see whether it's gonna be, well, the same, essentially. because it doesn't have very complex shaders. It's fairly simple. The only thing that it doesn't have in Unreal that it did in Houdini is this the super detailed displacement, as you can see on the hill in the front. But when I brought it in, even without any shaders and displacement, my video card went like hellfire. Even though I have RTX 2080, yeah, it couldn't handle it properly. So, and then it crashed. So for now, I'm not gonna poke around Unreal until it's solid. So, and then again, I enjoy more the process of procedurally modeling rather than, well, actually I lied. I enjoy all the steps of the process, but if I have to choose, I would probably stick to procedural modeling rather than lighting. Although lighting does provide a lot in terms of final quality of the image. So yeah, there you go. I mean, we probably eventually gonna switch to that, to real time, I mean, but let's see. Let's see where the road gets us. I mean, it's a nice step forward because I think with the technology being developed the way it is and being implemented, which is, I think, more important rather than just inventing stuff. Because if you invent stuff and nobody uses it, nobody gives a shit, essentially. So when Jon Favreau decided to extensively use it, I think he started using it throughout the... not really sure if Mowgli, well, Jungle Book was the first, but definitely on Mandalorian, they dive into this technology of using Unreal real time in production, at least. Not really sure they're gonna go as far as making it a final image, because to the trained eye of VFX supervisors, the quality is still not there. So you will still end up probably doing matte paintings on top of the CG objects. Although it will clearly be much easier to, you know, set up a scene, do a whole bunch of iterations in terms of like lighting, animation, because you can do it real time. You actually, maybe even to the point that the director sitting next to the VFX soup and the artist who's driving the overall scene, and say, yeah, let's put it there. Bam, it's done. Okay, maybe let's put it there. Bam, it's done. You don't need to wait for render to finish, because, well, normally, you know, in a real production, you would do a daily sessions once per day or per 2 days, depending on a company and on the director. And then within this time frame, you have to address the notes given by VFX soup and re-render the whole thing. Well, if we're talking about the final image, not like the preliminary process of creating the model or animating the object. So let's consider all being done, and now we're figuring out how it should look, right? So basically almost final. We're not gonna go into the comp, but actually comp is another thing that I'm quite curious how they're gonna go about, considering that normally the normal process is in CG pipeline that you create a CG scene, you render it out, preferably in EXR multi-pass, so you have separate pass for diffuse channel, specular channel, and all the other channels that you might, you know, use in a compositing stage. And then later on, and normally in Nuke, because I never seen a studio use Fusion, you assemble this whole thing, right? So with the Unreal Engine being on the horizon, I'm not quite sure how they're gonna go about it. I have no idea how they export the images from the Unreal Engine, whether they have all the necessary passes, because I'm pretty sure they're gonna still use Nuke as a final step. Well, we're not talking like color grading at this point, because you can still color grade without most of the passes. But the final compositing stage, yeah, I have no idea how they're gonna go about it. So yeah, I mean, I have no idea whether those were the things that you asked me specifically, but I just went on and delivered the extra information on top of that. Hopefully that wasn't too much. Oh, and actually I just noticed that we lacked the background for the chat. So there you go. Is it better? Or do I leave it black? I don't know. Kind of feels that warm brown color helps a bit. Let me adjust the chat as well. It's kind of somewhere at the bottom. We need to lift it out a bit. There you go. Okay. So where was I? I kind of got sidetracked a bit. Oh yeah. So yeah, we addressed this thing. We make sure it looks okay. Now, I think I need to go and do something about those things. So kind of make sure we have proper intersection. So to do that, what can I do? First of all, I need to find this particular segment, which is probably here. Let me check. Yep, this is it. All right. Now, I need to grab those guys, intersected with those guys, preferably before I... Okay, yeah, we have it here. And then use this information to create something. Seems straightforward. Let's do this. So first let's find those. I think this is it. So I create another. Oh no, I don't have to create another box. So we use carcass, which is group 24. Actually, I can just grab it from here. We go into Boolean. And we put it here. And we subtract A from B. Doesn't do much though, for some reason. Let's see why. Okay, here's why. Here's my answer. Okay, so I'll just make a transform and make it like this. Right? And then we have to lift it. Oh, actually, we don't have to lift it. Shit, yeah, that's it. Done. So now we have holes here. Let's think what we can do with this. And should we do something with it or not? I would say we probably should. Actually, I think what would be best is to have additional rings to adjust the this moving thing. So what I will do is I grab whatever we have here. All right. And try to scale it back a bit. Oh, no, not this one. I guess I need the Z scale for this. Okay. All right. Sounds about right. Okay, no, it doesn't, because it's actually... Wait a second. No, it was okay. It's just... Yeah, this thing was incorrect. And I don't need actually a boolean. I probably just... Okay. But I also need to enlarge them a bit. I should have done it procedurally though. So be the easiest way to do that. Let's see the copy node. We'll scale them. Not the same thing, right? Okay, so let's do it this way. We'll just create exactly a copy of this tree with a reference. So every time I adjust the reference, it will adjust the secondary thing as well. Not the best way of doing it, but I think it's the one that I need. So now I can just adjust the width of this thing. There you go. Let's see how it looks. It doesn't look like anything because I forgot to connect it actually. There you go. Oopsie daisy. Something went horribly wrong. I wonder why. Recursion again. Why though? Recursion, always a recursion. He is super into ninjas, so anything related to them is fine. I assume you talk about your son, alright? We need anyway counter on the screen. Well, Ravi, it's okay. Since I've got plenty of words parasites that I've been using for a while. Unfortunately, being one of them. So if you take a look at, I don't know, previous recordings, you would clearly say that I say unfortunately too goddamn much. He's pure Russian blood born in US. Wait, what? He's pure Russian blood born in US, so if he's got an accent, it will be more of a Russian side. His English is pure. Well, as pure as it gets in Texas. I hear you. You have probably got a shotgun yourself already. I got myself too, but I'm not in Texas. You're weak. Why are you so weak? Because you lack hatred. Are you really a child psychologist? Wait, what? LAR, what are you talking about? Anyway, let's figure out why we do have a recursion in here. So what if I'm not using boolean, I just use a merge? Will that affect it? Probably, yeah. But let's just take a look. Alright, so far so good. And yeah. No. I've been mistaken terribly. So the recursion is here, right? So, all right. Here's nothing. Here's nothing. But why this branch have a recursion though? Because it referenced merge 16. And merge 16 is, where is it? Oh, it's here. Oh shit, okay. Why is though? Why do I have it here? Isn't height? Ah, because I need the length. Sure, okay. Oh yeah, but for this one I don't need a length, right? So right. Yeah, I just delete the height and it's gonna be okay. Trust me. I'm an engineer. So here we go. Let's do it here. Yep, sounds okay. So go back to boolean and I'll just increase the height a bit. Well, let's go with 5. No? 10. Okay, now it's suspicious. Let's check it out. Is it because this thing actually adjusting the scale? Yeah, exactly. So there you go. Alright, now we go back here, adjust the height to 2, maybe 1. And let's see. Oof. No, still something wrong. Okay. Reference himself. Poly extrude. Nothing. But why here? Transform 36. Recursion and transform 36. But it's the copy of transform 28. How's that recursion? Oh, because tube. Oh. Ooh. Okay. So if I do this without the reference in mind, then it's gonna be okay, right? Okay. Oh, now I don't need this. There you go. Okay, and do height. Oh, what the hell? Oh yeah, every time I have to decentrate it. Well, that's a bothersome thing to do. Okay. Yep. Now it looks fine. Save. Yeah, slowly but steadily the model is kind of starting to take proper look. I'm still not happy with this steam pipe thing, which is not even a steam pipe. What's going on here? Hacker? Don't tell anyone. It's a super secret stream, alright? You are here because you were chosen. You are the special. No shotguns, only tiny little Glock in my bedstand. Well, let's hope that it's, you know, properly enclosed in a case on a lock, and the child has no idea where to find it. Что происходит? Откуда эти буржуи? Что с БСП? Петр 74 Rus. This is how things are now. we're slowly conquering the website. Because this is the future, right? We're gonna envelop more and more people in our conversations in the foreign language. And eventually, everybody gonna speak basic. But basic, I mean the language from Star Wars, which essentially was English, surprisingly. The said samurai doesn't understand anything. Oh, right. Well, I mean, sure. Anyway, okay. Anyway. I'm gonna do the quota right away so that he wouldn't pester me about it later on. It's a special gun safe with a code lock. Alright. Cool. I'm not against the gun. I mean, personally, I would always wanted to fire a 44 Magnum. But then I looked at the videos from FPS Russia with the very special gun, and I kind of changed my mind. I say, yeah, you know what, I don't really care about this anyway. So it stopped being something that I wanted, right? So I kind of switched to something more my jam. I would stick to the, you know, musical instruments rather than guns. I was never a fan of that. Neither the cars, which is interesting, because a lot of classmates that I had were fascinated by the idea of being able to drive a car. Hell, even my own brother, who's younger than me, like by 7 years or so, is got his driver license first thing when he hits like 18 years old. Is this the age when you get the driver license in Russia? I suppose so. I have never been interested into that thing, so I have no idea. Hopefully I'm right. I didn't want to seem like I'm too far detached from the reality. Okay, so let's try to figure out this piece. What we're gonna do with this one. I kind of think we have to adjust it somehow. Maybe the fact that it's gonna go in and enlarges towards the top kind of gives you an idea that it looks like a train. Especially if I just rotated this piece, it would definitely look like a train. So maybe let's try and fix that a bit. Okay. Good thing I know where it is. So this is the spot. I think we have to go from the beginning. Transform group extrude. Probably here. We have an inset right here. Right. For some reason, box is already improperly adjusted, so that's weird. Oh, there you go. Where's the previous transform though? Wait a minute. That's not right. Ah, okay, there you go. I didn't see the scale thing. So let's put it back. Maybe like this. So not completely perpendicular, but still. Yeah. Oh my goodness me. This is not what I've... right? Yeah, and this is the problem with edit that I mentioned. So if you start doing it in the somewhere further down the line, down the tree, it will screw up your modeling easily because it's not operating on relative position but on absolute one. So if your vertices are in the wrong spot from whatever they were before when you start editing, they're gonna flow the totally different way. So now I have to readjust it, and I still wouldn't get away from this stupid pipe shape thing. Let me double check this. Oh my goodness me. What the hell is this thing? Why we have two of them now? This is not what I was thinking about. Huh. Interesting. So this is... Wait a second. Oh, yeah, now I see. Okay. So this is the reason why. Because I adjusted the... Yep. Okay. I only need to select the perfectly... Well, semi-perfectly. At least. So if I make this polygon perpendicular, it will be automatically selected. And it will reposition the railings for the whole model. So that's why we have it in a weird position. Not only that, it's now slided off a bit, you see? Ah, well, that's not what I wanted at all. So let's go back and adjust this. Maybe I can just adjust it by... Bam. Yep. Kind of works. Even though it's a bit stupid. Yeah, okay. It's not right. I have to re-edit it, I guess. So let's go. Well, first of all, let's go from this angle and select that one. So it's now perfectly vertical, and probably adjust it a bit further in. I hope I'm doing it correctly. Yeah, and maybe even slightly scale it down. Yep, seems fine. So, oh why it's okay. I still need to adjust those ones. My goodness me. Okay, let's manually select those two and scale it sideways a bit. Okay. I don't like using edit nodes, honestly. It's a crime against all the gods that you can imagine. But it gets the works down. Stupid little node. Okay. It's really annoying when I'm, you know, not getting the shape that I would like to. I mean, it's just a matter of laziness. This is the problem that I've got. So this particular piece I could easily change. I just have to rework this whole thing and make sure we have the end section like this. And that's it. I mean, it's not that hard. So I'll probably do it off stream so that it doesn't look like elephant trunk or whatever, or a just, you know, water tap that it kind of goes into the main body of the ship. In a gunheads community, Desert Eagle is actually considered a meme gun. Pretty useless in a real gunfight, only got its popularity through movies and computer games. However, it sells for whooping 2.5k plus, and many people want it. Well, as far as I can tell, Desert Eagle was popularized by Counter-Strike, right? So if it only has like 7 rounds, I assume that the Counter-Strike clip size was correct. Then, as Bill Burr said in his stand-up, real life ain't the movie. In real life, you miss all the time. So, if you shoot in a potential burglar or whatever, 7 rounds and that's it, you're out of ammo. So that's why I'm asking about the shotgun. Because shotgun has a... Let me recall that from the stand-up. Shotgun has a wide spread, real nice spread. Think you have a problem there? Bam, you don't have a problem anymore. But then another problem that would arise is that you will have to do renovation around the kitchen after one shot fired with a shotgun. While with a, pistol, you can just, locally make sure to cover all the holes up. As far as I know, being into musical instruments might have been even more expensive than guns. Not cars, though. Well, I'm not into like high tier musical instruments. If we're talking about the proper, guitar or keyboard, I will usually settle down by the early mid tier instruments and been pretty happy with it. So I do remember the time when I really wanted Gibson Explorer. Like, that was the guitar of my dream, because I was watching Metallicalypse a lot, at first, at least. First seasons were it. And then I really wanted it, not because the guitar seemed to me cool, but because it was referenced in the cartoon, essentially. So I really tried to save my... I mean, I was... What year was that? What year was it? I'm like about to graduate school or something. I don't remember. But plain speaking, I didn't have enough money, obviously, because Gibson guitar would cost you, I don't know how much. Well, I would say 60k Russian rubles. I'm not really sure what was the exchange rate back in the days, but it was pretty damn expensive. So I even tried to find the used ones in a local, I don't know how to call it, eBay, Kijiji, wherever you're from. So I found a guy who was selling the used Explorer Gibson, but I didn't manage to save up enough money and time, and he sold it to someone else. But eventually, I'm glad that he did, and I didn't spend so much money on it, because, to be honest, you can get away with pretty damn good sound if you have the right, well, not only the right tools, but just the ability of making sure you can scramble whatever you have on your software side and just try to tune it to your liking. So, in layman terms, you can just take less expensive guitar and virtually tune it to sound pretty close, because a lot of software allow you to play around with the different cabinets, different amplifiers, and any other pedals that you can find. So I settled with the Washburn X50, which is pretty nice, slick looking guitar without markings on the frets, which I thought was cool. It was black, and it had 2 AMG pickups, I think 81 and 85 neck and bridge response, respectively. It has a mahogany body. I think. And the strings went through the body in a deck, which is nice. For those of you who think that the quality of the wood drastically affects the quality of the sound. So there you have it. I mean, I was pretty happy. I still have this guitar by this day. It's like 10 years it's been working for me, so to speak. Although most of the last 5 years it's been, you know, lying in its how we call it, case. Yeah, guitar case. On the side of the keyboards, I owned a Yamaha P125 and I was pretty happy for a lot of time. I mean, if you play with the headphones, it's okay. You don't have to bother with any other thing. And it was only 80 bucks. Well, Canadian bucks at least. And tax included, so if you play without the headphones though, essentially it's not really great, because when the time passed, I noticed that it has like plastic sound to it, not to the actual, you know, sound that came out from the speakers, but the actual keys started to wobble a bit. So you could, if you play too quiet, and normally if you're not an asshole and you care about your neighbors, you wouldn't play too loud, but then you will hear the plastic sound. So I would normally play in the headphones always, because first of all, you're not bothering anyone, and second of all, you getting to hear the proper sound with the proper acoustics, right? So whatever reverb settings you had on the keyboard, it will be, how you say, portrayed correctly, since you have the, especially if you have a good headphones. So there you have it. I never was a fan of like super expensive instruments, and the car topics we covered some time ago, so I don't really into cars that much. I mean, I was googling about electric cars just to be familiar with it, so where technology is at the moment, what companies do what, so that I could potentially invest in some of them in the future. That was the only interest that I had. So I even followed the guy, the British guy from Car Wow channel on YouTube, who was reviewing a lot of cars. I was pretty interested in the Nio brand from China, given that they have really funky setup with this electric vehicle that includes 3 types of service when it comes to a charging vehicle. There's a conventional thing that you get to the supercharger and just spends, I don't know, 30 minutes to charge it. Then there is a service that you can call and the van comes to your location and charge you at least, I don't know, like maybe 20%. Maybe it's like emergency charging thing. And the third option, which was really funky to me, is that you, and but at the same time very logical. So if your charge on your car battery is near, you know, depletion, you just go up to this pit stop kind of thing, and it automatically changes the actual battery within 10 minutes, and you're good to go. So that was a pretty interesting thing. And even though I don't really like cars and driving, in real life at least, I was pretty, you know, fascinated by the idea. A friend of mine works for Lucid. They have a badass tech. Not an investing advice. I mean, I'm not gonna take investing advice from the chat person anyway. No offense. I would usually do much more analysis of the company before investing. And I recommend everybody to at least make sure the person who advising you on this is qualified and not an interested party. Okay, we're kind of distracted again. Oh, how long have we been live? Almost 2 hours. Okay, let's make it, let's round it up to 2 hours, and then we're gonna say goodbye to each other. And I think it will be enough for me for a couple of days before I actually finish modeling this thing, and then come back to you with another thing, being that the main building of the base which is this one. Oop, yeah, because I'm pretty sure it still needs some love. I think it's not particularly looking real at this point. It's actually really lax in terms of scale. If not for the trees and for the spaceship, I won't be able to tell how big it is. So I need to work on the small details to make sure we can estimate the scale easily. Actually, in previous versions it looked better. Maybe because I did a lot of procedural extrusions here and there, and was much more in terms of amount of those extrusions. But it looked weird. I mean, if you think about how they made something like that in space, it wouldn't make sense that it's just consists of thousands of platings on top of each other overlapping, because it's a flawed design to my point of view. I'm not an engineer again, especially not a rocket scientist, so I have no idea whether it makes sense or not. But I would say it should be relatively small but still sensible amount of platings on the exterior of the station. But this is a mess currently, so I need to figure out how to properly adjust it and still to make sure it looks like the one from the original cutscene. So you're not Sokol fan. Well, Sokol is not any guy from the chat. We discussed certain companies in great depth off stream. So, and so far he wasn't mistaken. So he does have certain expertise, I would say. If not from the education, then just playing from experience. Although I need to figure out what time I should go live, because I think the fact that I've started quite early is not the best solution. Because basically not a lot of people, since I'm now currently still waiting for a visa in Siberia, and I start at, well, relatively early evening Siberian time, most of the people still not back from work. And if we're talking English speakers, there are only Asian viewers who could potentially get on here and listen. Even though statistically speaking, most of the viewership from the StarCraft cinematic came from South Korea, which is not surprising. It doesn't convert to live viewers that well, unfortunately. I mean, you would think that it does, but it doesn't. So basically, I guess they just one-time visitors for the most part. I mean, so they just show up to the channel, watch the cinematic about StarCraft, maybe leave a like, and then just walk away. So I have no idea when they come back. If. Because it's not a question of time. It's a question of probability whether they actually show up. So yeah, I need to figure out which time. Or actually try to do it early in the morning, Siberian time. So if we go, I don't know, like 9 a.m. Siberian time, that would be 10 p.m. East Coast, right? And 7 p.m. West Coast, if we talk North America. So that probably potentially makes sense, but then again, I will lose all my Russian viewers for the most part. That's quite a trade-off. I mean, it's a very complicated thing. If I were in Canada, obviously I didn't have much of a choice. I'd probably just stick to the evening time of the local. So yeah, it's hard to tell. Anyway, let's make a quick resume of what we've done so far, and I'll probably just make a quick render of the ship. Probably will rotate it a bit and okay, so let's put it like this. Okay. Let's take another shot at it. Oh, okay, here we go. Well, I mean, we probably have to rotate it a bit as well, because the lighting goes from the back basically, and we can't see too much. But the cockpit works at this scale, you see? So, I mean, you can't tell what's going on inside, but it definitely looks like a captain's bridge in there, which is nice. So, let me try to rotate it again. I'll just go that way, actually. And we check out the back. Oh, look at that. We have some problems here, actually. Some of the things weren't done procedurally, I guess. So we have... I will have to address it off stream, obviously. But let me take a look at this thing that we've done. Well, it looks okay-ish. I mean, something wrong with the normals here. It's a weird smoothing thing. Maybe I have to adjust it to be... Yeah, there's definitely something wrong with the normals. Yeah, it's super sharp now, but... At least there is no visible thing that it's wrong. It follows the outline that I see here. Okay, yeah. Still gonna figure out probably what to do with those things in the side. Once again, the design should follow function. You shouldn't be creating something that it looks weird without putting too much thought of like what it is and what it's for. Otherwise, the spaceships would look crazily. Actually, it's some video games they do. I mean, sometimes the artists go crazy with the shapes, and it doesn't necessarily coincide with... Well, actually, take EVE Online, for example. Some of their ships look super weird. I mean, I do appreciate that they went with lack of symmetry for the most of them. It does give them some, you know, featured look that you wouldn't find in other games. So it's basically iconic to some extent. All right, I mean, well, I guess that's it. We've established something, which is nice. Mainly, we adjusted the procedurally made section holders so that if I decrease the amount of section on a train, it will automatically adjust and grab the next to the last one without any problem. So we adjusted the top thing, we adjusted the rings on top of the railings. I mean, let's be honest, I do most of my work outside of this weekly report, so this primarily for me and you to talk about various topics, essentially, and well, mainly about modeling, but I will just make a note to myself that I have to address the issues that we found out during the stream, and hopefully later on I will be able to fix them without no problem. I really like how they shape spaceships in Expanse, as simple as it gets since you don't need aerodynamics in space. Yeah, I do enjoy Expanse as well. I mean, not only from the spaceship design point of view, but from the actual writing. It's much better than any, you know, well, what do you consider it? Well, it's a sci-fi, so yeah, let's go with that. I would even place it above Firefly, to be honest. Even though they're kind of slightly different genres, but still. If I have to rate the sci-fi things in terms of, well, like integral rating, so basically taking into account the physics, taking into account the writing, taking into account overall design and setting, I would say Expanse takes the cake, then Firefly, and then all other sci-fi TV shows that you've probably seen. Realistic ship have spent half time playing facing backwards physics. Yeah, I remember this episode from because of science. Because science, probably. So yeah, I watched this episode. I'm very keen on watching something on YouTube. So there you go, folks. Thank you for stopping by. Let's hope we're gonna continue this tradition of ours to talking about various topics, as well as evaluating my work, giving your thoughts, and we probably even make more progress given the time. Yep, that's it. I will make sure that the recording be placed on the Bizarre Self-Production YouTube channel. Hopefully it's gonna be done soon, and you can rewatch it if you're interested. If you're not, well, c'est la vie, how French people usually say. Have a good day, have a good night, or a good morning, wherever you're from. Soldier's out. Take care.